welcome, welcome. Happy Fri-YAY. It's time for another fun card. I am back from our on-stage conference and totally inspired and have so many fun things that I just can't wait to share with you. Today we're going to be making a fun window flap fold card, kind of a fun fold with a peekaboo surprise in it. And I'm going to be using the Friendly Foliage stamp set and dies. So let's take a look. Okay, so here is this awesome bundle. It is stamp sets and dies that make everything totally wow and pop. And then I am actually adding in, which is not part of the bundle, but the Paradise Garden hybrid embossing folder. It goes so beautifully. Let me show you the card and you're gonna agree, I'm sure. So here is today's fun card. And at first glance, it looks like just a beautiful regular card, right? But it's got this fun window that opens up and we have a tri-fold that folds down and you have this totally cute fun fold card. Isn't that easy and fun? I can't wait to show you how to make it. So this is that embossing folder. So the Paradise Garden hybrid embossing folder, it's hybrid, so it does have dies that go with it, but it's beautiful just by itself. So let's get started. But before we do, as a reminder, here is my website, my blog, stampingqueenbee.com. That's where you'll be able to find all of the step-by-step instructions for my weekly videos, including today's. You can also sign up for my Buzz Bulletin, where I will email you out a printable PDF tutorial with all the steps, the supply list, measurements, all the things each week to your inbox. So you want to make sure you do that. On my blog, you'll also find a tab at the top for classes, and you can sign up for any of my classes on there as well. So no need to write measurements down today. I will walk you through everything, and you can just print that PDF as my little gift to you. So let's move all this out of the way, and let's bring in our card base. So this is a piece of 8.5 by 11. And this is how I always do my card bases. I thought I would just give a quick review because I was talking to a few people at conference that were really wowed by this. And so I thought, well, I just better go over it. So whenever I am making card bases, I want to get the most out of a sheet of paper. And so I want it to be exactly 2 card bases with my 1 sheet of paper. And so instead of cutting the paper in half and then scoring each side, I like to score it once and cut it once and then have 2 card bases. So for this particular design, but it works for either way, I would first start with my paper horizontal and I'm going to score it in half all the way down. Then I would turn my paper and cut at the halfway point. That's 4 1/4 for this sizing. And that would give me 2 card bases that are already scored. So if you do it the other way, it works fine if you cut it first, but then you have to score this piece and then you have to score this piece. So when I shared this at one of our on-stage conference crafting sessions, because yes, it is about business and it is about learning, but we also get to craft and have a lot of fun too. We were cutting some card bases and there was some long time stampers that were really wowed by that tip. So I thought, well, I better add it in to some of my videos so that everybody else can get refreshed on that tip if you hadn't heard that either. So we're just gonna use one of these today. So we've got our card base here. And so it's already scored, like I said. So let me just grab my bone folder here and we're just gonna fold it in half and burnish it. So this is gonna be kind of the base of our card here. And then I've used, let me grab it here, that Paradise Garden embossing folder, and I have already embossed a piece of basic white. Now, I just think this could be your card right here because it's so pretty. Because it's hybrid, it gives us, I mean, you can die cut this as well, but it does give us a really deep impression when we emboss this. And so you can really see those beautiful leaves, right? So now I'm just gonna take some liquid glue and we're gonna adhere this to the front, but we're not gonna put glue everywhere like we normally would. We're going to put glue just along the outer border because we're gonna die cut this to create our fun window, and we don't want glue all in the middle, right? So we're just gonna go ahead and add this right to the front. Make sure all those borders are adhered. And then what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna grab my dies. Here's our dies, and we're gonna take this big die here. I call this kind of the outer die, the outline die. We'll line that up in the middle. I would probably use like a little sticky tab on here and stick that on there so I kind of knew where it was in the middle. We'll open this because we don't want to cut through the back side, right? We'll open that and we're going to run this through our cut and emboss machine. And power of magic of YouTube, right? I have already done that for us. So when we run that through, it will look like this, and we will just pop this piece out. So we've got our window, but because we didn't glue it, we've actually got two pieces here. And so I'm going to show you some fun things to do with that. But that's kind of step one in creating that window part of our card. So now we have our card base here. We have these pieces that I'm just going to set to the side for a minute. And now we need to do the inside mechanism. So the inside, I'm calling this like an insert. And so measurements are all on that PDF, but we've got the insert here with a score line. So we're just gonna fold on that score line. And with my bone folder, I'm just gonna burnish that real quick. And so this is going to be our inside layer with that flap, okay? So we're just gonna, again, add some adhesive just to this big part, because we want this to be able to open and close. So then we're going to take this and we'll just center this right on the inside of our card. So now we've got pretty much our mechanism here. So we've got the window, it's going to open and it's going to flap down, and that is the basis of our card. So it looks like a wowie fold, but it's really simple to create. Okay, so then on this piece here, we're gonna put some DSP. And so for our DSP, I am using the 6x6 Brights family paper pack. And so we've got all of these fun, bright colors. They make me happy. And so what I'm gonna do with that is we're gonna cut a piece. I've already done it, but we'll cut a piece that is Coastal Cabana. And actually, that's a touch too long. So let's trim this. I must not have trimmed it completely down, but that's okay. We've got our trimmer and we can fix that easy peasy. Okay, so that piece is gonna go there. But before we do that, we want to give it a little pizzazz. So I'm gonna bring in a piece of grid paper here, and we're gonna use the sentiment, thinking of you from our stamp set here, and some basic gray ink. And instead of just stamping this, we're actually gonna create kind of like a background with it. So I don't know about you, but if I stamp, let me do this on the grid paper. If I try to stamp without grid lines, in a straight order, they don't ever come out straight. I mean, they do here because I have a grid line, so that's kind of cheating. But on a piece of paper, they don't. So my little fix for that is to stamp at a diagonal, because then it never has to look perfect, right? So we're gonna create a word background here with our thinking of you. So all I'm doing is stamping this down, re-inking it, offsetting it. So I've got, you know, the thinking of you, and then just following along these lines here to create like a word background. These are so fun. I love to do these on envelope flaps because they're really kind of fun, right? Okay, so we can do one there, and then let's continue this on, and maybe just a touch in that little corner. So now we have this fun word background stamped right on that beautiful DSP. So the back side are these really pretty flowers, but I love the speckled look of this one. And doesn't it just look so fun when we add those words on there? And so this will be our sentiment, right? And so now this piece we'll just go ahead and add right to that little folding flap. So let's just go ahead and add that. And then we get to fill in our fun window here. So we've got this, right? But we had those pieces that we cut, remember? So when we took those out, because we didn't add the glue to the inside, we were able to pop these out. And so some different options we can do, because we want to create, on our example here, we want to create this fun piece, okay? So some things that you can do. You can stamp right on that designer paper. So I have some fun ones here so you can see that you can just stamp right on the designer paper for a beautiful wow, right? We could take one of these and just pop it in there, and how beautiful would that be, right? But these dies do a fun couple of things. So we could use this piece, this embossed piece. We could add a little bit of ink blending to it. I used some Granny Apple Green there and just did a little ombre effect with a blending brush, and that would be beautiful on there, right? Look at that. Then you can also have your die cut where it will cut out. So you see these are more solid, but we actually have a die in our set. So this kind of outer edge cuts out the whole thing. But then when you use this inner piece, it takes out the middle. Isn't that just totally wow? Let me show you. It just takes out that middle and gives you kind of the outline where you could put something behind that. So what could we do with that? Well, you could pop it up on just white, right? Or a pretty color behind that if you wanted to. This I popped up with some mini dimensionals, so you could do something like that. We have our blending there. I just want to show you all these fun options. Then we've got the designer paper. So I cut these just blank ones without stamping. And look, I could put these right over. Ooh, that's pretty. Maybe we'll do that one for today's card. This is the one that I used, the lemon lime twist, because that's so fun behind there, right? I do kind of like this though. This is Flirty Flamingo. That looks like a me combo. Let's do that one today. Okay, so we're gonna use those two pieces, but these dies and paper and all the things, we could emboss these. I mean, we would have so many fun options with that, right? So in order to do that, what I did first was I took this, we had these two negative pieces when we popped that window out. And so I'm gonna save this one for another project, but this one, this is the thick basic white. I'm gonna use this as my backing so that these are sturdier with our kind of fun fold here. So what I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna add my liquid glue on here. I'm gonna take this full piece. We'll just go ahead and use this one. Then we have two options, right? And they line up exact because we cut them with our die cuts, right? So we're just kind of giving this some dimension by layering these pieces, okay? So then I just look on the back to make sure they're totally lined up and it's all adhered. So now it's a little bit thicker, so it's going to be sturdier. And then we'll take our outline piece and do the same thing. So we'll just go ahead and add our liquid glue. You could pop this up on dimensionals, but because we're getting it thicker and we've got our folds, it doesn't really need more dimension. So the glue layers work just fine. And so I just line this up, and if you start with the bottom corners, then the rest kind of falls into place. Sticking to my fingers there. Okay, and then the liquid glue kind of lets you wiggle it right into place where you need. Oh, I love that flirty flamingo behind there. Isn't that pretty? Double check the back and we are good to go. So now this piece is almost like a light chipboard kind of feel because of those 3 layers. So we're gonna have our card closed up. So you wanna totally close it up, make sure it's all flat. And then I'm gonna take my liquid glue and I'm just going to add glue where the DSP is, basically. Just on this bottom half, because we don't wanna close our card shut. And then I'm gonna take this piece and I'm just gonna stick it exactly in the little window. Easy, easy lining up, right? Because we already die cut that out. Now I'm just gonna hold that there a second so that it adheres. And now look, we're gonna just pop this up. The first couple times you do it, there we go. When you first pull it out, it sticks a second, but then it doesn't. So we've got that. Oh, I love it with that color. It's so fun to come up with new colors right on video with you. And then we'll open that up and we've got our beautiful window flap fold card. I don't know if that's really a name, but it's what I'm calling it. Okay, and then in our dies, we have some of these kind of extra dies with outline leaves and kind of intricate leaves. So I went ahead and die cut those. There's one more, here it is. I went ahead and die cut those for us. So we are gonna go ahead and let's use this little one here. And we'll just add a little liquid glue, put that right in there. And same with this one, I just added just a bit of liquid glue. You could use an adhesive sheet, that would have been good. But this works too. And then we'll just take this one and pop that right inside. Okay, then on the front, we want to finish up with a couple of little bling, right? So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to add a bow. So I added a bow with our white baker's twine. And so something I like to do is pre-tie them. I know that I like to tie them sometimes when I'm watching TV or just sitting or have like a creative stump, right? Then I might tie some bows, and I like to store them right on my mini glue dot sheets so they're just ready to go as I need. So I just tied a double bow with the white baker's twine, and we're just gonna put that right in the center there. You might want to trim your tails here so that they go in that little window part, right? So they're not like totally sticking out. So let me trim this side. There we go. Beautiful. And then we're gonna finish with like the most beautiful gems. These are called pearlized faceted circles. And just look at how beautiful they shimmer and shine, right? The faceted gives you all those different shiny elements, kind of like a disco ball, right? So we're gonna use the white ones today because I think they just go beautifully with white on white here. So we're gonna put a big one up in this corner, and we're gonna put a big one and a little one in our opposite corner. So we kind of create that visual triangle with our gems that always looks really good to the eye, but these are like so beautiful. I will be using those a bunch, I know it. Okay, so this is our fun our fun window flap fold card. It looks wow, but it really is easy to create. And I think your recipient would just be totally impressed with how fun that looks. So we could add Wink of Stella if we wanted to, but those gems are just so blingy that I think they look super, super, super beautiful. And that paper with these fun die cuts really shows through and makes those die cuts absolutely pop. So I hope you loved today's card. Just easy stamping on DSP, die cutting those out, creating our fun word background there to really just make our recipient smile, right? So you'll have to tell me which color is your favorite. I mean, good thing we don't have to choose, right? We can have both. All right, so there you go, a little closer for you. Well, let me just come back here and thank you so much for joining me again today and every week. Thank you for liking and subscribing, for shopping with me, for joining my classes. I absolutely appreciate each and every one of you. And that's what makes these Friday videos possible, right? So have a great week, everyone, and I'll talk to you soon.